What the hell's going on? I see. What's up, guys? Let me see if shows I got a request, but something's messing up. What the shit?
All right, all right,
We
all
all
right, all
came
right,
to
all
see
right.
you.
What's up, guys?
Hey, it's a lovely evening.
Yes, it is. Hey, Kai, would you like to co-host? Bring
Good to
Kai
see
up.
everybody. Thanks for coming.
It's good to see family.
Damn it. Now let's
Hi,
Hello,
Lacey.
Chris.
Are you eating some candy?
She didn't. She had a hot mic. I probably muted her. Hey, Kai, would you like to co-host?
Sure, sounds good.
Kai, you can say no if you don't want to.
I think she's strong enough to say no. She did the other night when I asked her, I think. You're such a hero, Chase. I love you, dude.
I love you, Shane.
I shouldn't have jumped on you because you're just looking out for people. So that was shitty of me, man. So I appreciate it, dude.
No, you're good. You're good. You're right. She is strong enough to say no.
That's true, but also what you did was all right, too, because put people on spot's not right. You're my hero, Chase. I love you.
I love you both. You guys are great. And you didn't put me on the spot. Chase, good looking out, but I'm all good.
I love you too, Logan. I love you too, Kai. I love you, Chris. I love you, Lacey. I love you, Screen. Love you, Buddy. Love you, Red. Love you, Devil. Love you. Well,
Love
okay.
everyone.
Actually, no, I do love the Devil.
Somebody's
Take that
got
back.
to,
Okay.
Maybe the Devil needs some love.
love you guys.
I don't love the devil. I love everyone except the devil.
Hey, I want to say real quick, I'm pretty sure I get the feeling I'm a big guy that Kai would whip all of our asses anyway, Chase. No fucking around.
Oh, I
Just
don't mess
saying.
with Kai.
Sanity is optional.
And that's the best, huh?
Yeah.
This black tie affair, sanity's optional. Anybody got anything they want to discuss? I mean, let's start preloading that thread, and then I'll start putting it up in the nest. Nothing's off the game. Like I said, reality, let's live. This is about each of our realities and how we see it, how we perceive it, and how we see this UAP phenomena interplaying with it. So that actually puts everything on the table, okay? All your theories, all your stories, anything you want to talk about and how you think it's related, let's get to it, right? That's what we want to do. So the big thing, if we can pre-populate in here, just different things you want to discuss, it'll get this ball rolling a little quicker. And this is my area. The co-host and I, we're all here, and I'm thankful they're here. So give them a follow. Is the main reason to guide the conversation so we can have a straight up conversation, all of us. It's about us talking back and forth. The only reason we're going to raise hands is it makes it a little easier. And something I want to start trying is if someone's talking, you kind of have a rebuttal, right? But you have your hand up and you just want to add a little bit to that or talk about that. That little wavy shake emoji that's got the blue around it, we'll kind of keep saying this. I want to try to start saying like, hey, use that instead. That way I can know, hey, wait, they have something to say about that. And, you know, exactly. Thank you, Kai. That one right there. So, Chase, if you can screenshot that emoji and kind of do a little thing and put it up there, I want to change the dynamic of these spaces like we've been. I want to keep them positive. I want to just have fun. And I want to talk about this subject because I tell you right now, this subject literally saved my life and put me in a place that, God, I sometimes I cry for happiness. I don't even remember what that shit's like. To know what you're supposed to be doing finally when I was 43 years old, like I wish I knew what I was going to be when I grew up. Just here with you guys, just speaking to the bullshit that's out there and we can all survive. The biggest thing is this. The message is always you can survive. You can make it no matter what it is because too many people give up. I tell you right now, there's some dark areas in here. I just heard a buddy of mine, thankful to him. He wanted to make up a relatable story. So when I go to Boston, I don't have to per se lie. I can dump some of this, not talk about UFOs because he didn't recommend it because they wrote it down as a symptom for him, delusions. Do you see the kind of stuff I'm talking about? And this is what we need to fix. And this is what we are going to fix, all of us, because there's so many of us. People have called us crazy, looked at us weird. Man, I'm tired of that. It's not going to happen much longer because we got to get doctors on board. Scientists are coming along. But right now, there's a crisis that people don't even realize, and it's just coming about. I mean, Ted Rose doing some great work to let people know, hey, man, you might want to hold back on the diagnosis here. Study of UAPs is working with them. It's like a outreach program, right? All because of some of the shit I was going through, because I knew I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't, it'd just get me locked up in an institution because of my past. And I had to start recording for my own safety. You know what that's like? Carry cameras all the time, because you got to make sure that when you see shit, you got shit, because you can't talk about the shit or it's just, you're crazy. To be your best self and everyone around you tell you you're schizophrenic, man, that you're crazy, and you start believing it. You think about taking the wrong ways out, right? That never should have happened. If I'd have found UFO Twitter, I probably never have thought about it. But then I did. But there's better ways to do it. We're going to carry this message everywhere. And I sound like a cheerleader, but it's easy. I got you guys, the support, the messages, all your experiences. I take my book moments from them as well. I take a little bit from here, and I'm like, I don't feel so alone. That was the hardest part. I was so alone in this, dude. I remember thinking, man, what is the point to live, survive everything, to only be shit on with this, right? And I'm by myself in this. I wasn't by myself. I just hadn't found my family yet. And that was the biggest thing. So we got to spread the message about the family, the experiencers, and the people who have interacted and researched. This is real. This is here. Let's have a conversation. And I'm kind of done. Chase, go ahead. I'm on a little soapbox. I'm sorry, guys. I'm glad you guys are all here.
I honestly had totally forgotten I'd raised my hand at this point, but I'll use that to segue into the little purple button down there. If you guys want to go hit the like and retweet, might pull some more people in. I like to hear people's stories. And yeah, I love all of you. So what do you guys, oh, no, never mind. Take that back. Not the love you part, but I had an idea. I take that back. It's not a good idea. So moving on to whoever wants to speak. Logan? Logan, I saw your mic flip. Don't hold back on me.
Sorry. I just wanted to play that song.
Hey, real quick. So I'm going to say this once now and once towards the end, okay? I've opened my tips.
Hey, guys, I'd love to speak for a second.
Go ahead.
Shane, I think what you just said was so wonderful. And human to human, person to person, as we should always treat each other instead of occupations or whatever. It was really brave to say all that. And you're right, we shouldn't have to feel brave to say that. And I've been so lucky to have some major experiences with other people, with scientists. Some of the biggest ones were with more than one other person, and people with scientific backgrounds, let's just say. And even under those circumstances, it's like you call each other for weeks. Like, did you remember that? Did you see this? Did this happen? Did that happen? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, and I've thought so many times how going through stuff like that alone can be such a weight. And people don't understand that this is reality altering stuff. We build this little bubble of understanding around ourselves as we grow older. And, from childhood that, the world teaches you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. Finally, you get to this world, everything's reduced down to what you can do. And of course, that's the wrong, philosophy, but that's how we're raised. And, we're in the process of evolution. And, it takes people like you, Shane, being brave and coming out and saying, hey, this is what happened. This is how it made me feel. This is a very complex, dynamic subject. Although there's a thread that connects all this stuff, it's also really filled with synonyms and other things that are involved in this subject. It's, many moving parts. And so whenever anyone comes out and talks about their uncomfortable experiences or demonstrates, ESP, or talks about successful CE5 or channeling or mediumship or any of that stuff, what we're doing is opening the doors. And it's, we've never had more UFO reports than we do now. And it's not just because of the technology and more people becoming aware of it. More things are happening. And, communicating with each other is the best way to handle going into this uncharted territory. And kudos, thank you for your service. Snappy salute.
Thank you, Alien Protocols. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to agree. I'm going to top off on that. Why I'm alive, why I'm here speaking and decided I'm not going to be anonymous. I'm going to go ahead and do this because the others before me, all kinds of others, man. I could name people left and right. There's no point because you guys all know them. They're here on UFO Twitter. They're out there. They're talking. They write books. They interact with us. And Alien Protocol, all these people. That's why I came here and I'm like, oh, shit, this is real. At the right time, too. And that's what look, I'm not, I say this so often. I went from atheism to being agnostic. I'm spiritual, but at this point, I'm having a hard time saying, this is ridiculous. Either my lizard avatar overlords are guiding me this way, or there's a God, something that I don't understand. And I take that what it is. And it's not what you say. I'm just saying the synchronicities are so ridiculous. At the time, they're ridiculous. But now, adding up, it's like almost like straight manipulation. I wouldn't be at this moment that I literally had prepared for. And I'll say this one more time. After my experience, I went mad with the thought of creating an org for the simple fact of making a studio. So I purchased everything for a studio to put the voices of addicts, veterans, mental health. And then later, after I realized it was UFOs, experiencers, and I was mad with it. So much so that I had everything for a studio when I got invited to do a podcast, minus the camera, but I could use my computer, whatever. And I remember telling my family, they'd say, just do it, blah, blah, but I couldn't. They asked me why. And I said, there's something I'm missing. I don't know what it is. And it was driving me crazy, and to the point that I was always, I go get it checked up, and it was just, I couldn't figure out what this depression was, what this madness was. And all it took was literally the casting synchronicities from my experience to Vernal, to the people I've met, to here, to these spaces, to the podcast, to the possibility. My charity is we're working on that right now. We're working on an org right now to cover these things. We're also looking at the possibility of holding an experiencer conference, a straight experiencer conference, where we come, share stories, and that's what it is. And we'll know more about that. It's just on us to talk and just cathartic and to be there and just interact like we do here. So I can't do this stuff alone, obviously. So I need a team, and this is my team. Support, love, family. I've been missing this my entire life. So this is going to sound cheesy, but I got all of this here, man. And I can't believe that shit. I used to avoid social media because I thought it was poison, and I still kind of do. But for someone who's kind of been there from the ground up and spent his life because of sexual abuse as a child, just, alone, and all of a sudden I wanted to be around people, and there's a pandemic. I almost lost my shit with this experience and stuff, and then I found my family, so I'm grateful. And this family can be so much bigger. Am I right?
Yeah, Shane, you are correct.
Absolutely.
Because there's, I think, a lot more people than even we know about or recognize.
I'm just so psyched, guys. Every day I wake up, you know how ridiculous it is to wake up and let me get on Twitter and see if my friends are on so I can just at least talk, hear voices, share some bullshit, whatever. That's silly, but I love it. And so then I'll have to go do stuff, and then I do stuff. Before I'd be lounging around like, oh my God, when I say I was alone, now outside of my family here, I haven't talked to anybody in 3 years. No one else. I'm not joking. The pandemic closed everything down, support, all that shit. And other people have problems, and not many people make it out some of the shit that I was dealing with. So I lost a lot of friends and support, and everything folded. I had nothing else, man. And I thought, life is this fucking miserable. There's no one else like me. No one gets me. Because I'm definitely that crazy old veteran, I get that. Life's changed me. Things have changed me. I don't apologize for that anymore. What I apologize for is not speaking to it, not saying, hey, there's lots of us out there. We've had this shit happen. It's real. Being able to talk about it and discuss it with people that I'm not scared or judged by has made me feel so good. I don't feel like an outsider. The community, oh my Lord, man. If you knew how much I loved you guys, and I toss that love emoji and that word around, but it's real, because the connections. Sebastian Younger wrote a book called Tribes, and he postulates that in it, the PTSD part of that is when you leave the service. I may cry here. So when you leave the service, you disconnect completely from something that was bigger than yourself, right? You leave that family, and all of a sudden they're saying, "Hey, man, you were supposed to bleed, stay there by these people, but you got to go do stuff by yourself." When you used to shit, piss, eat, bleed these people, all of a sudden you're alone. So one of the things he talks about in there is some of the warrior nations. What they do is they when the warriors come home, they celebrate them. They make sure they're connected for that simple reason, because that disconnection's just like experiencers, just like here. This connection we're making is important no matter what it is. I brought up the PTSD because an experience can cause that, and it has for me. Most people don't know this. Part of the reason I'm going to Boston is it was too much, man. It was a lot. I was already trying to fix my shit, man. It was just supposed to be easy from that point on, and it wasn't. But I made it. Not alone. I had a lot of support, man. And I'm glad. So somebody else take over so I can just chill for a sec.
Yeah, thank you,
We
Shane.
got you, Battle.
I know Ocean had her hand up. Did you have something you wanted to add, Ocean?
Yeah, we got you, Shane. We're here for you. You're totally not alone. My kid is calling me, so I was like, my hand's up, my phone's dying, I'm coming. But yeah, I thought we could call ourselves like worldwide experiencers, the WWE, and then have like wrestle battles when we meet up, along with like UFO talk. So I thought that would be cool. But yeah, you're definitely not alone. And like, it just reminds me, like, when you're talking, what my nan said, she's like, this is going to make you stronger. This will make you strong. Everything I went through, this will make you stronger. And once I was crying, I said, Nan, I don't want to be any stronger. I don't need to be stronger than I am. But, everything you went through, like, you're here now and you're this amazing person. And so, like, I'm just grateful. That's all. But I'm going to go help my kid now.
I just want to echo what Ocean said, Shane. I actually have a lot of respect for you, man, just because you own your truth, and everything that you say is, you can feel the authenticity of it, and I think that's really important. I think gives other people that pathway, like you're setting, you're burning that path for other people to come forward and talk about their experiences. And I also related to what you said about the community here. Like, I felt an instant connection to many of the people here, and it's so easy to um feel close to these people, because it's like, it feels like we're spending so much time together. We just get to know each other so quickly, right? But I think, man, like, it's important to understand that vulnerability is strength, bro. I think some people might think like, oh, being vulnerable is weakness, but no, man. Like vulnerability takes great power. So much love to you, bro.
Thank you, Three. I think that's a very powerful message. Actually, is you might, a lot of people view it as a weakness, and it's not a weakness. It actually can bring us stronger in a very visceral way. Kai, I think it's
Yes, sir.
awake. I think it's awake.
Awake
Am I
and
correct there?
Oh, hey guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Hey. So Shane, as you know, first of all, like 100% respect. You have filled that same void you talk about, I think, with everybody else here, as far as being a connection and being a tribe. You are one of those people that have done that for most of us, if not all of us. I know, speaking for myself, I listened to your YouTube, your podcast. Congratulations, by the way. And and you were similar to how you are here, just your vulnerability and your honesty and your authenticity those things, I I have the utmost respect for those values. And so I think, as being an experiencer, and for me, having those values of honesty and integrity and authenticity. And I think of Shane so much because he's like my twin. I know we're both ADHD. And I had quit drinking a couple years before my experience. And so my ADHD, I think, had kind of reared up prior to my experiences, and a bunch of things at work and my life was just like in this complete chaos mode. And, and everywhere, I didn't understand what was going on because I had, numbed it for so many years with alcohol. And then the work crisis kicked in, and then my son, moved away to take care of his father-in-law who had a stroke, and I was going through some medical diagnoses that were scary, and it was just like, what the hell is going on here? And you feel completely alone. And you start seeing these people pop up on UFO Twitter, and you see, okay, they're going through the exact same thing. And Shane, that feeling of, I have to record all this, thank God. I've said this a million times, thank God that I have been able to record what I am seeing, because credibility is so important to me. Oh, what I was going to say earlier, my ADHD Leo self, I'm the kind of person that used to be on this line, not afraid of anything or anyone. And excuse me. If you're trying to walk in a path of vulnerability, this will take you there real fast. Anyways, just back to reiterate, your path, your journey, and I'm sure many people like us, it is real. And we do need to have people who have a voice and who have credibility, speaking to this issue. And the only way that's going to happen is if people are authentic and who reveal themselves as who they are. And that takes courage. And thank you for your courage. And I hope it inspires the rest of us to kind of step into that role as we move forward. And, on the side, my experiences have been honestly pretty great. I wouldn't say they're scary, although there's been some weird stuff, but at the same time, it's not the experiences that change you. It's yourself, it's your ego, it's your self-reflection. It's what you're going through, probably through any transition. And understanding that is so important, I think, and sharing that with each other is important. And I'll stop talking now, but I just wanted to say that because after hearing you speak and being authentic on YouTube, and I wish you all the we're your tribe. We're here and we got your back, and let us know what we can do.
Thank you, Chris. And, thank you for telling us your story,
hey,
too.
Chase, I want Kyler in the room for a little bit, buddy. I'll be texting you something anyway.
Just really, really quick. I just wanted to say one thing really fast. There's an old Buddhist saying. It goes like this. It goes, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And I think we could replace enlightenment with like experience, right? Because we go through these almost fantastical experiences, but we still have these human lives and these human journeys that we're on. So, okay, sorry for the interruption.
No worries. Thank you for that message. It was absolutely beautiful. And next,
I'm not sure who had their hand up next.
Maybe there's the honor system. Whoever.
I think Thoreau.
it's Josh.
Are you
1
sure
second.
Redhead didn't have her hand up? I think Redhead's had her hand up for a little while.
Hey, before we go, Redhead, you're gonna go. Then we'll go, Josh. do me a favor, follow Kai, follow Chase, all these speakers. Everyone in this room be connected. I want her to run the room because I'm telling you. And so, run through.
That you're clipping out really bad, man.
Yeah, I didn't hear any of that.
Oh, thank God. I thought it was me.
No, Kai,
I
run the
thought
room
it was
quick.
me too.
You hear that?
I was stretching, trying to hold my phone in different positions.
Did it work?
You guys can also turn on your captions and you'll be able to see what he's saying and shrugging.
Hey Shane, you're still cutting out. You're still cutting out. Kai,
It's the
so
CIA.
thank you, Chris. Kai,
Yeah, not even the
I think
captions are
Shane
working.
was wondering if you would want to run the room since you are a veteran yourself. And I think that's what he was trying to get across.
Okay, sounds good.
If you don't want to, you don't have to, obviously.
No, I mean, and that's fair, and I appreciate that, and much love to all of you and sharing space with us and speaking with us. This is my first time actually co-hosting with Shane, and I absolutely love him. I think that he's got just the most amazing heart. And to be quite honest, being that he is a vet, and I share that piece of him, and I'm sure that even Chris, and you're speaking, sharing that piece of him, whether it's ADHD or the military background or whatever, I'm an 18-year vet, and I understand and I get you, brother. And I am just grateful to be here and be able to talk to all of you. But on that note, and because I'm not trying to make this about just me or anything. Red, you are next, and then Josh right after.
So Red, we can't hear you.
Sounds
Red, you
muffled.
sound like you're underwater.
Hey Red, yeah, we can't hear you.
I think she said that she's going to let someone else go, and then she's going to come back. If we can round back up to her. All right, Josh, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of points or anything. I just wanted to say, hey, what's up, room? I did want to say, Shane, I feel you, brother, and say thank you for my gratitude for everything that you've done. For your service. Thank you for your service, buddy. I come from a military family as well, so thank you for your service. I know it is not easy. They really do a number on even if you don't see combat, right? It's an experience of its own. But yeah, I've been a part of internet communities since the early 2000s. A lot of different communities, different kinds of communities, and I really love the UFO Twitter community, but especially the Spaces community on UFO Twitter. I think you're right. It's a very therapeutic, cathartic kind of experience to be able to speak in these semi-anonymous, but also semi-open spaces, right, to be able to talk about our experiences that are very confusing and that we don't understand, right? And that goes not just for the phenomena, it goes for life experiences too. There's a lot that we can learn from each other, and I love learning from you folks. So thanks, not only to you, Shane, but to everybody who comes here in good faith and offers good civil discussion. So yeah.
Thank you, Josh. And next we will go to Tech.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Rob here. Hey, Shane, I just wanted to real quickly say thanks for everything you've done, for your service, and really appreciate the all of the work you're doing on this subject. I only got involved in this whole UFO Twitter in the last month or so. You were actually the first person I ever interacted with on the subject, and we had some great chats in there about the things you were seeing by Hanford, and I jumped into some of these spaces, and just want to say I think it takes a huge amount of courage to actually be able to come out and speak to people that you don't know on the topics that you've spoken about with both your service and the experiencing. I'm just really interested in everything everyone here has to say, and look forward to hearing a lot more good stuff from you in the future.
Thank you, Rob. And next we're going to go to Screen.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I appreciate any of the veterans in the room. I just wanted to point out that I shared the book again, The Secret Commonwealth of Fairies and Fae, or something like that, down in the thread. It basically describes, missing time of the kind of stuff like the phenomena is associated with, and it was written in 1812. So it's a free download if anybody wants to read it. Thanks.
Thank you for that information and also for putting it into our chat so that we are able to access it. It's something that I know that Shane and I both do appreciate. It is something that we can go back to later on, especially in a recorded space, and kind of like review, even if we have individuals who are not here to actually hear about it. Just what you just touched on, missing time. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Maybe that's how we can segue into a topic of discussion.
Yeah, a lot of cases, UAP cases are, I mean, not even UAP, even going back to ferries and stuff like that. A lot of these places that are X points where, like ley lines and magnetic anomalies come together in forest. There's stories of, like this girl was going to this cabin where people were, like dancing or having a party, and then her friend pulled her out, and then the people were gone. So there's cases with missing time where people come back and it's been like 3 or 4 hours and they thought it's only been 30 minutes or something. And then there's been cases where it's actually like you're seeing a different time period altogether.
Thanks for that explanation. And does anyone else have anything to say with regards to missing time? I know me, myself, I do go through that often. So it'd be great to have some type of a discussion about that.
I had missing time when I was abducted once. And what's interesting is that it was about 3 hours, and I've heard a lot of other people like have the same amount of time missing. I always find that interesting.
Right. And with my experience, it has been about the same, actually, 3 hours or what seems like a very extended period of time. So I can definitely relate to that, and just feeling completely like if something just hits you from the left field and you just don't know your days, you don't know what the heck is going on. Real quick, and Red, I do see your hand as well as Rob and Screen. A story that I have, which I don't usually bring all my stories about, but the story that I have is that myself and my husband, we actually went down to Virginia Beach to meet up with one of our battles, more specifically a battle of my husband, because he's also in the military, 20 years this year. And we went down to go visit his battle, and, like a brother from another mother, and we hung out, and something within me just said, you need to head to Virginia Beach. Well, this was Newport News, so it wasn't too far of a drive. Got over to Virginia Beach, it's late at night, and I just felt compelled. I don't know what it was. I just felt compelled to go out on the sand with my husband. We had our little Samsung digital camera and just started snapping photos. And to my surprise, there was this huge statue I had never seen before, because I had never really visited this beach, of Poseidon, right? And with the trident and this amazing turtle, sea turtle, which I love sea turtles, being from the Caribbean. And as we're there, it was like, he started snapping pictures. We didn't take a look at the pictures or anything. I just kept feeling this need to be on the beach and had no idea why. So fast forward, we can't remember how we got home, where we stood, if we stood anywhere. We just know that there was a lapse of time between us being on that beach and being at home. And the only thing that lets us know that we were there was the pictures. Well, if I was to show you those pictures, there's some light anomalies going on in those pictures that we can't speak to. We don't understand it. I've showed the pictures to Ganga, I've showed them to Just My Videos and even Tupa, because it just doesn't make any sense to me what's going on. Some people would say, oh no, that's just digital, whatever. It's just something wrong with the lighting. There was no lighting on the beach. There was no light posts along, in the middle of that beach, there was no light posts. So there's no way that it could have been lighting. But what's interesting in one of the pics, and I'll put it up here in just a second, you'll see closer to the ground a trail, a dotted trail of some sort coming towards me. And that just, it doesn't make sense to me. But the most craziest part was just the whole idea of just that lapse of time, right? We don't remember how we left, how we got home, and what happened in between.
Hey, Kai, can I ask a question real quick? Are you, actually, maybe I'll phrase it a different way. I'm in the DC region. If you're in the DC region as well, I would love to connect with you a little bit more. And because I see these things a lot in my own backyards. But yes, that's all.
Southeast. I'm in Florida.
Oh, you're way down there. Okay.
I've actually experienced that, like in the forests, like growing up when I was like a kid. So that's really interesting. I never really thought about it, but thinking back, like I do remember times, like maybe a handful of times that it's happened. Like it's almost like going into another dimension. It felt like I remember that, like my head, like it was like kind of like heavy feeling. Maybe I remember it was weird. Yeah, it's so cool.
Thank
Thanks for sharing
you.
that.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to go to the hands in the room now, just out of respect for everyone. I think the next person was, geez. Did you see Chase? Because I don't want to like say the wrong.
I think Alien has had his hand up for a while. Maybe Red, maybe Screen.
Okay.
I put my hand down a lot, and I like brain farted.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I
No,
want
because
to
we
come
skipped
back.
over Red. We skipped over Red.
Yeah.
Red.
So,
all right. So let's
the
loop
time
back to Red
thing,
real quick.
All right. I just want to say there's also the opposite, where the loss of time, yes, but there's also the opposite where I'm not talking about like being stoned out of your head because you smoked a huge bong hit. I'm talking about where you just kind of space out for a moment and only like 1 minute passed. But whatever you just did and traveled on lasted like 3 hours in your head. And all of a sudden you're like back right there and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Or, just simple highway hypnosis type thing. I'm not talking about just driving, but the thing that happens is like, how did I get here? Where you just like zone out for a moment and only like 30 seconds passed, but something just happened. At least this happens to me, where I have like this whole thing happen, a whole play played out, a whole like Venn diagram of everything that makes sense. And then like suddenly it disappears like a waking dream. And it lasts way longer than the moment I just spaced out on. And I'm not talking about, again, where you're just stoned and you're just like, whoa. I'm talking about full on. So lost time, yes, had that too, but also the speed up time. And I lost like 30 seconds, but gained 3 hours. Has anyone else had that?
Sorry.
I don't know. Maybe.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Maybe that might have happened to me a couple times.
And guys, just real quick, I do see the hands in the room, and I will get to you as soon as I can bring some people up. We do have a packed stage at this time. So if you are not speaking and you wouldn't mind going down so we can get some other speakers up, please feel free, and you can always come back up later. I believe the next speaker is Screen and then Alien.
Um, I'll jump down real quick. I just wanted to say it was interesting. Y'all talk about the missing time is roughly around the same amount of time. Steve Mira, he does a lot of like science and real research, testing in the field, stuff like that, with the phenomena. And he's noticed that objects that like get thrown across the room, it's like or they disappear and come back. It's the same distance usually. That there's a correlation there. And I linked a video of his in the thread down there.
Yeah, that was me. Thank you very much. Yeah, I find that interesting. I'm always looking for like patterns or stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that they're looking at. So that's why it's really cool. It's like 3 hours the video, but it's all of it's awesome. Even the way frequency affects the way the water looks, it'll make it look like it's going in reverse or fast forward when it's not. So it's very interesting stuff.
Thank you for that information. And next up, we have Alien Protocols. And just so everyone knows, it isn't the Jumbotron, the picture I was speaking of.
Hey, gang, just to share a couple notions about missing time stuff. Of course, there are aspects of it that are natural with more mundane, banal explanations. They've found out that when your brain is in really a high focused state, that yeah, your experience of time speeds up. But when you're in incredible danger, sometimes people's experience of time dramatically slows down. You'll hear people say, "Oh, it was moving in slow motion," or "I saw this and it was, it's almost like I could catch it in the air." So there's weird natural brain effects depending on how your brain is concentrating. But then there's some possibilities, and I don't know. I'm not a physicist. More, let's say, rare possibilities. If you travel really fast, you could be that alters your perception of time. And if you're taken somewhere at an incredibly fast speed and brought back, the time shift will be dramatic and can be dramatic. You can literally travel into the future, but to you, it's just seconds if you're traveling at an incredibly high speed. Also, another thing that can affect your perception of time is gravimetric influences, the density of gravity. So who knows? Some of these influences could have really bizarre explanations that we just haven't even fathomed yet.
Thank you for that. And I can relate to the danger aspect and things slowing down. I remember very well having a car accident with my brother and his best friend, and literally looking at the car that was about to T-bone us in slow motion, thinking as I was trying to say, "Oh my gosh, watch out," it literally went that slow. And then boom, we got smacked over a fire hydrant, all airbags deployed, and it was just like same, real speed again. So yeah, I definitely can relate to that as well. Next up is tech, I believe.
Hey guys, Rob here again. So I've thought about this quite a bit with respect to the missing time phenomenon reported with a lot of experiencers. And one of the thoughts that I've had along the lines, it's similar to what Alien had been saying there, and that's the fact that it's hypothesized that many of these craft, if they are actual nuts and bolts craft, are utilizing gravitational propulsion systems, and gravity, by its virtue of the way it operates, distorts space and time. So one of my thoughts would be, if you're actually being brought into a craft that is utilizing and generating its own gravitational field, that would instantaneously warp the fabric of space and time, and that could potentially be leading to the perception of missing time. And then
Bam.
and then another thought I'd had about that was, if it happens to be more of an interdimensional aspect, if these things, phenomena, are actually removing you from our dimension as you know it, you would actually be outside of space and time, and you could be experiencing outside of space and time and then be literally dropped back into our reality, which is running on a totally separate clock. so to speak, than another dimension would be. So these are just some of the things that I had thought about that could potentially be causing the missing time phenomenon that experiencers have reported.
Thank you for that, Rob.
Hey, real quick, Kai, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna let you take it back over. Just in favor, guys. In this space, we got a lot of veterans. There's PTSD, so those loud noises don't do a lot of people favors. Sometimes people go back and listen. I get the humor and it's funny. I'm not trying to be a wet blanket, but yeah, it could startle some people, and that's not what we're trying to do. Nobody's in trouble here. These things are fun. They're new. They're toys. I get it. Let's try to keep them down just a little bit, because sometimes too it'll throw people off. Okay, because if you do it, we're gonna have to put you down. And I don't mean put you down, but I mean put you down, and we'll bring you back up. I got a chance in here, and we'll always bring you back next time. But this is a civil conversation. We're just having some fun, okay, guys? Kai, take over again, please.
Yes, my dear. Actually, I honestly wanted to hear if you had any input as well before we go to the rest of the hands in the room. Shane?
Yes?
Did you hear me?
No, I didn't hear. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. I wanted to know if you actually experienced any missing time as well before we go to the next hands in the room.
My girl, that's what I had my hand up for earlier, and I completely forgot I had my hand up and I put it down. Thank you very much. That's actually something that worries me. And here's some real talk. Like I said, I've been in a kind of secluded situation, right? Times run together for, like, I would go weeks, months, years, it seemed like, without talking to people. So time was just, even now, it's still kind of, I have a lot of free, now I have stuff to do. But before, and I started worrying. Now, here's something that I always kind of what if about. So I love to go prospecting in the mountains, things like that. As I'm using my metal detector for about a day, it kept hitting on something. Every time I put it in my left hand, I couldn't figure out what the hell, and there'd be nothing in there. I'm like, well, what's going on? Well, then as I'm coming home, I have a really clean cut on my left hand, really clean cut. And I can't remember what it's from. It's not from a surgery. Perhaps I did it somewhere and I don't remember. My little handheld metal detector, which is high end, 150 to 200 bucks, goes crazy on it right there at that spot. I don't know why. I have no recollection of how whatever got in there, right? And it spooks me sometimes. But then I thought perhaps I'm just, it could be something I've done. I'm not saying that. But so the missing time, then I start thinking to myself, there could be a possibility I have quite a bit, and I have zero recollection. Now here's the part that'll really get you. I smoke a lot of marijuana because I have to have my hip replaced. So it's that, because as a recovered addict, I can't put other stuff in my body. Matter of fact, I should have had it replaced years ago, and that's a struggle I'm having. Because if I go have it, I'm worried they're going to put drugs in my body. If they put drugs in my body, I'm worried I lose this. So it's a never-ending battle. Do I deal with this pain? Do I take that risk? All these type of things. And one of the things that when I went, I guess I'd say the weed prevents dreams. Astro can verify, all these other people can verify this. You don't dream, and I haven't dreamed in years, and that makes sense. Well, the one dream I had was when I went to Vernal, Utah. The very first night I was there, I kept waking up, and it was freaking me out. There was 5 to 10 grays tugging me out of the bed. I'd wake up and freak out, and then dream, go back to bed, and it happened repetitively. I didn't have weed the rest of the week, but never had a dream again, and still haven't. So that kind of stuff makes me paranoid, but that's because I think I go down the rabbit hole a little too much, and it could all be me connecting things that aren't connected. Let's make that clear. But with this situation and the amount of things that I've seen that are just woo, I don't write much off, right? And it's like, to me, it would make sense, like, because one of the worries I had, and I don't know if this is going to make sense to anyone, Keel talks about this. And the reason I like Keel and Operation Trojan Horse, it's almost like a checklist for the shit I've experienced. And I'm not even kidding. So it also was my book moment. It told me this shit's real. Other people experienced it. To go place after place and the same thing be there, and you're recording it there, and your family's seeing it there, how does it know you're there? How did it know you were going there? So as a man who didn't believe UFOs existed, I blamed it on humans. I thought I was being stalked by some crazy ass rich humans with high-end drones. Now, which is fucking crazier? It's like I had no clue. So the missing time thing worries me because my stuff has been so intense for X amount of time near Hanford that I at first thought it was Hanford, but until I started going to the mountains. But then I couldn't tell you if I had missing time, Guy. And I actually had raised my hand to tell you that. It's a possibility. It exists. But if you guys heard me talk about Keel, make sure you check out at least Operation Trojan Horse. And Kai, please take over again.
All right, my dear. So, Black Chick, you're up next.
Hey, thanks everybody. Hey Kai, you can call me Martha if you want to.
Hey, Martha. I remember you.
Hey, I remember you too. You rock. So is Chase. So is Shane. Everyone else too. Um, anyway, this is probably not the most exciting story compared to old vets' thoughts there. I'm sorry, Shane's, but I wanted to mention that I think probably lots of us have, but I've definitely had that experience of slowed down time during, in this particular case, a very, very closely avoided terrible accident. It seemed like it took 10 minutes. I thought through the whole process of what might happen and what I would do in particular situations, when in reality it was just a maybe 2 seconds, if that. Unfortunately, there was no accident, but I wanted to mention I'd experienced that. And another time, this was when I was riding school buses to school. So, like just a couple days ago, um, I was on a school bus and a car ran into the side of it. And I remember very vividly as well turning my head, seeing a car, hearing screeching noises, and seeing that car and knowing that I was going to hit the school bus. But this was not slowed down. I know just the way I described it seemed slowed down, but it wasn't. It was just real time. I remember it in real time. It felt like it was real time, as opposed to that other situation where I probably would have gotten badly injured. Fortunately, it was just me in the car if it hadn't been avoided. And I wonder if that was because school buses are tanks and I actually was not in danger in that particular situation. It's just an interesting thought.
Thank you for sharing that, Martha. And yeah, I mean, as you heard earlier, I do correlate with that as well. When we talk about synchronicities, I think it's uncanny, really. Chris, you're up next.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. It's funny that we were somebody mentioned about the interdimensional, like, beings or something like that, but I was actually reading about interdimensional beings as well. Like, some people think Bigfoot might actually be like an interdimensional being, because people have seen like the black shadows and then even like a black bear appearing after seeing a shadow, or after seeing a shadow like a Bigfoot. And I think maybe what it could actually be is just our brain is perceiving it as like a mix of a human and a bear, and but maybe it's just playing with our perception as well. Like, I don't know, I find it fascinating. And yeah, thanks for sharing that, whoever shared that before.
Thank you, Chris, for sharing your experience as well, and also your perception of things. We're going to head over to Galactic and then Being Red.
How's it going? So my experience towards loss of time as a meditation teacher, energy practitioner, specialized in teaching higher consciousness, intuitive psychic abilities. Loss of time would be a perception or ability of telekinesis or aerokinesis. Knowing that you can train your sensory perception and harness data perception through a object and move it with body energy. And as this thing moves, has a loss of time through a gravitational field that you kind of pull. You're pulling the object, you're pushing the object, and when you're ready to push it or pull it, there's a time delay, and it's very interesting how it works because your mind needs to connect to the object because you're programming the object, and how you program the object is through sensory perception. And but lost time could be even in like the experience of emotions, or like a lot of you have been saying, like danger, and you have this hyper awareness that comes from the release of the dopamine of the experience of adrenaline. That could be loss of time, but astral projection meditation, telepathic communication, that's a very difficult mind discipline practice that requires clarity of no thoughts and no emotions of the mind. And this is where I mostly work in a lot of these practices and abilities that are very confusing. You can experience different dimensions of time by traveling to these points of interest and then having feedback results from what you have experienced, like if you want to find a missing child.
Thank you so much, Galactic, for that information. Next, we have B, and then Red, and then Chris.
Hi guys, good evening. I just the synchronicity is just too much for me to not say anything. Alien Protocols, Galactic. We need to get together and talk about some of this stuff if you guys don't mind, because there's some real stuff going down with all of that. I ran into you, Galactic, the other day, and then the Hutchinson effect, and starting to talk to other people about my own experiences, and Buddy, you'll know, through some personal experiments. I would like to get us into a space that's not recorded, and to talk about some of this energy manipulation and some of the amplifications of and ramifications of that, if you guys wouldn't mind. But I do have a similar experience to that, Kai, that I don't really talk about because I don't remember it, so it's kind of crazy. My husband swears that we were abducted, but the only thing that we had the weird video and a weird picture with weird anomalous lights, but the Google Map is what gave it away for me, because it's just weird. But yeah, if Buddy and Galactic, if we could schedule that, ask all you guys, I would love to do that. Thanks.
Anything you're doing, I'd love to help.
Buddy, yeah, it was so awesome. It was so awesome. It's like, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, me and Buddy were on the phone together, and then this stuff's just like showing up in front of me. I'm like a shooting star, like 20 feet in front of my face. I'm like, oh my God. But man, we've come so far. But, and Buddy, man, we got to get this going down. I've got some people trying to help me write it out to do the random number generators between the neurodiverse and experiencers and what I would love to know more what you were speaking of about the Pear Institute and those studies. I don't want to ram, like take over the conversation either, but I'm just so excited. I was just like, what?
This is such a cool field. If you guys don't mind, just to interject for a second, we're at a position with this field, since it's the unknown and it's phenomena. We can actually help. Someone in this room right now could make the major discovery that solidifies this from phenomenology into science. And so many different groups have done stuff in the past, but because they didn't connect and it didn't form a larger community, there's all these pieces of information that all these different people have. And by just doing exactly what's happening in this room, thanks to Shane, we can communicate and share these things. Pear Institute did a bunch of studies and found out some data. I've got some experiment ideas that could harness and garner actual, real, tangible, physical data and metrics that are repeatable. And B had some ideas, and stuff like that. When we can come together and do something positive, even just discussing it is wonderful. And I just thank you guys.
Hey, real quick too. Thank you, Alien. I just want to say something. You got back, Kai. My voice, the reason I'm here, very important. I say this. Jared, Samuel, make sure you followed them. They had faith in me. They gave me courage. They supported me. They included me. They gave me a frickin' voice, man. Doing the same thing I'm doing up here. They're family. So make sure you follow both of them geniuses too. They're some of the smartest fuckers ever, man. I love them.
And then
so,
can I
never forget them.
Can I add, if we have new speakers that want to come up and kind of talk through some of their experiences and stuff, please feel free to come up and request. We'd love to have some new speakers come up.
Yeah, you can add, absolutely. Just usually try to do that after I'm done talking. You might want to try working on that, brother. Jackass. Love you, Chase. And here, guys, make sure
It's
you
the
follow.
ADHD, Shane. I can't help
And he
it.
does it again. You shit. Now, here, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to have to kick you out. No, do me a solid. My co-hosts, follow them. Astral, Lockchick, all these people up there, their family, right? But these two people are helping me do this, and it's just about us talking. That's all it is. It's not about me. It's literally about this entire room. If you haven't spoke before and you'd like to, come up. But remember, this is a recorded space, and if you would
You
be
can
more
move me
comfortable.
down, Shane.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chris. I'm glad you're here, and I thank you for sharing. You and me, same. Trust me. A lot of these people, they're the first people I discovered. Literally recording the same stuff. Like, what's going on? We're losing our minds together. So it's family, and I'm glad that we're all losing our minds now, right? Here together. So we'll get on to it. Kai, go ahead and take over. I just want to mention one thing. I open my tips, and it's literally just for a camera. They'll close once I have a camera. So I'm going to say it once. I didn't want to tweet it because I feel I'll survive. I'm 100% disabled vet, so I got cash. It's not about that, but I'll never be able to get a camera. I'm going to say it once, and that's it. So my tips are open. They'll be closed once I have a camera.
Thank you, Shane, for putting that information out. And B, I definitely wanted to say to you, the information you gave me was phenomenal. I would suggest that you put that also out in the chat if you're looking for other experiencers that would be able to kind of like help and facilitate your studies that you have going on, or the studies of the ION group. Next, we have up Red. And Chris, I know you had your hand up, so I don't want to miss you, darling, because I know you said that you'll go down, but I'd really love you to speak again. And then we have Jackson.
Man, this sucks. I have to jump because I have a friend that's hosting a space and I want to go there. But I thought because I held my hand up and waited in line that I shouldn't just like dip out without saying goodbye. And the reason why I brought my hand up in the first place was to ask Vat about something he said about smoking pot and not being able to dream on it. And I've heard people say this before about, marijuana and dreaming, but I don't understand that. I mean, like, because I could dream, like, I don't have the same experience. So maybe I'm just like a anecdotal fringe, but smoking pot does not stop me from dreaming at all. So
It does
I'm
to me as
curious.
well. It does to me as well, and I'm
It stops
definitely.
dreaming, really?
Shane, I definitely want you to come in and put in your input. But I know for a fact that I can't smoke marijuana, and this is something that I think I discussed in a Tupa's room one night, and I can't mess with it. I don't know if it's because I'm neurodivergent, but I
Well, I'm
cannot.
neurodivergent as well. I
Yeah,
was
I
just
can't mess
curious
with it.
about this because it's like my mind is like, wow, really?
I don't know
Because
if it's
it
the way
doesn't
that my
affect
brain
my
is wired.
dreaming.
Yeah,
Well,
nope,
I
I
don't know.
Hey,
can't.
Redhead. There's a great
Yeah.
podcast with Dr. Matthew Walker on Joe Rogan where he explains what happens when you drink and smoke cannabis in relation to dreaming. So go check that out. I smoke cannabis or vape, and I don't dream at all. So I know there's a lot of people that have that, but
It doesn't affect
I
my
will say
dreaming at all.
I
But
do
you said
dream.
Joe Rogan. I'm like, I'm out. Anyway, I'm bouncing anyway. So, thank you guys. Love you all. I just wanted to, because I sat in line. I was like, but pot doesn't stop me from dreaming. But then I gotta
But to
go.
be
So,
fair,
fuck
you
me.
did
I'm
ask
gonna ask a
Shane.
question and leave.
Hold on. But you did ask Shane,
Yeah.
so at least hear his response.
No. I gotta go, and I'm.
All right. Have a good night, Red.
Okay, hold on a second, guys. Thank you for that, Kai. Real quick, we can discuss stuff in here. It doesn't mean it pertains to you. The whole point of this is a reality less lived. And I mentioned at the beginning, our realities are what we perceive. So if weed doesn't affect you that way, then great. But most people, it does. It literally does. I mean, it's just a science thing. We're not going to just go against that. So no point in getting upset at people. And the other thing is, let's try not to step on people. You ask a question, wait for a reply. I'm glad everybody's here. Kai, take over again.
All righty. So next up we have Jackson.
Hey everybody, thanks. Excuse me, Kai, Shane, Chase. Thank you for hosting and facilitating. I just wanted to say something, just for myself to say it. I don't need any
advice or feedback, really. I just want to say it. I've said it in a mental health space. Um, and I want to tell you all because you all are my friends and family. And so my dad passed a week ago, and I've been home with my mom, and it's been heavy. And I'm not trying to trauma dump. I'm just trying to share my experience. So I'm also a veteran. My dad was a veteran, but way back in the day. Like he was an old motherfucker. But it's weird because things are coming full circle. Um, like I've seen a lot of people, family and friends that I haven't seen in literally over a decade. Um, and I'm even finding things out, which I kind of was expecting and I was a little scared about. I'm finding out like some of my family was in like certain secretive orders, um, and also like pilots and like officers in military, uh, like going back. I was enlisted. I didn't have my degree when I signed up. And it's people like, for example, I saw he's like a technically like a second cousin or something, but he's older than me, quite a bit older. Uh, and it's just weird. I don't know how to explain it. Like, first of all, on a supernatural level, I have felt my dad like every day since he passed. And it's I was an atheist too, like Shane, for a long time. I went to school and got a degree in history and philosophy and international studies, partly to prove people wrong that God doesn't exist. And then here I am saying I can like feel and sense my father whenever I want to. And uh, it is freaking my family out because, I'm more at ease because of that, I think. But my sister and my mom, who are Catholic, are a little more skeptical of it. Not skeptical, they're just frightened. Like they believe me, I think. But uh, it's just weird. Like all this shit is coming around full circle, like my entire life, in a weird way. And uh, I don't really know why I'm saying it, except to just say that it's very raw and real. And if anybody else has any experiences, it doesn't have to be super profound, but if it's just something like you can't explain or that's, it's okay to talk about it. I just wanted to say that. Thanks, guys.
Jackson, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I'm sure everyone in this room can just hug you right now. I thank you so much for sharing your story. And those of you who know me know why I say that. But thank you so much for just sharing that. And you're right, things do come around full circle. And I needed to hear that. I really did. So I thank you. Chris, you're up next, babes.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop out on down after this, but Jackson, thank you for sharing. And I, you know, I am neurodivergent and I'm ADHD, so I do tend to relate to people with my own stories. So I apologize for that. But like Kai, by the way, Kai, thank you for hosting the space. It's good seeing you again. But I lost my mom on July 4th as well. And it's just all full circle. The first experience that I was aware of, the first sighting I was aware of was on July 4th of 2021. And exactly a year later, my mom died. And to go full circle, I was looking at the video just yesterday that I saw of a UAP that me, my dad, my daughter, and my husband on July 4th at 4:11, like always, p.m. And I mean, it's just mind blowing. I hadn't looked at it until a couple of days ago, and I had forgot. I guess maybe just because I was in the trauma of the day of losing my mom. But you know, I'm kind of out there, and so when it was 411 and we saw the UAP like we do, and I kind of made a joke flippantly and said, "Is my mama on that ship?" And I'm telling you, for the next like 10 minutes, you can see on the films the things I'm seeing, the craft, the lights, the camera gets shut down. We have multiple cameras going in, and so you can see where where the camera flips and turns off. But to me, again, it does go back to this whole concept of there's too many synchronicities, there's too many details, there's too many full circle moments as part of this experience for me to believe that it's irrelevant or it doesn't matter. And you know, I don't know what that means. I went from a super conservative fundamentalist back in the day to now I'm super not, but I'm definitely more open to spirituality again because of my experiences. So either way, to me, it all comes down to love and connection. And I have people in the background talking, so I'm going to head on out. But Jackson, I'll be thinking about you. And, you know, I know exactly how you feel. I can pick up a picture and literally feel my mom now. And it's just weird. So,
Chris, before you go, as a matter of fact, I think we were in the same chat room when I lost my loved ones as well, the same day, July 4th. So talk about synchronicities, right?
Oh my gosh.
And we happened to mention it almost at the same exact time in that chat room with Jared.
I remember us discussing a lot of synchronicities, and yeah, it's just mind-blowing to me. It's just weird.
Hey, real quick, guys, I just want to make an announcement too, real quick. This is some deep stuff. We're being honest, open. If you need to leave, go ahead. Three's hosting a meditation space. Take a break. Listen to the recording later. What's important, take care of ourselves. I'm glad you're here. I'm not saying leave, but our brother Three's over there. It's in the thread. If you need to breathe, you want to go do it, do it. This isn't about me. Like I said, this is literally about the message, and that's how we get it out. So go ahead, Kai, take back over, please.
Thank you. So Chris, again, thank you for that, you know, beautiful message. And again, I can't say enough to Jackson for just sharing your story. It just means a lot. Honestly, it really does mean a lot to both of you. Thank you. Next up, we have Corporal.
Hey, good evening, guys. Jackson, yeah, man, thanks for sharing that. And I DM'd you my contact in case you need to talk. I also lost my mother, and she was on a carrier, and so was I. So kind of hit me right in the heart and feels, buddy. So appreciate you sharing that with us. And then in reference to the pot and the dreams, I smoke a lot of pot. I'm high right now, and I got high last night, and
Hey,
a lot
real
of my
quick,
dreams
buddy,
woke me up.
we're having trouble hearing you. Your TV's loud.
So sorry about that. Yeah,
No, okay. I want to. No. Stay. I want you to turn that down and redo it.
There we go. Is that better, guys?
There we go. Yes, perfect. Now re-say it. I don't want you to drop down. I want you to talk so everybody can hear you.
Yeah, I was thanking Jackson for sharing. I'm not sure how much I got that you guys heard. My mom was also in the Navy. I was actually on a carrier as a civilian, and so that like inspired me to join the Navy. And I actually made it to a carrier. So like that hit me in the feels what Jackson was saying about losing his parent. And yeah, I was just thanking him for sharing. And then I think I was talking about the dreams and the marijuana. And I was saying that I smoke a lot of pot, and I'm actually smoking right now. But the stuff that I was smoking, I had a nightmare last night. It woke me up out of my sleep. So I do dream and still, yeah. But I also have that sleep paralysis stuff as well. So there's a lot going on there. That's it.
Corporal, thank you for sharing that. And I know that's been a hot topic of discussions lately in some of these spaces, is talking about how many individuals we know that have sleep paralysis. So I can definitely understand when talking about that, how fear can be a big part of that when you don't understand it, or even when you do. So I'm going to go over to Happy, then Kent, then we have Tupa, and then Galactic. So in that order.
Hi. I just wanted to say that today I was in the car with my son and a Michael Jackson song came on, and then Jackson spoke, and his story was so similar to mine. I lost my dad at 9 years old, and my family's also very Catholic. Um, so like connecting with him, not in his physical body, it was weird. It was definitely like, is this really happening? Am I crazy? Do I need to go to a therapist? Like a bunch of these things. But it definitely is real, and he'll always be with you. And that's just all I have to say about that. So thank you for letting me speak, and I look forward to listening.
Thank you for coming up and sharing your experience, Happy. It's definitely appreciated. And again, to just have those correlations with others, sometimes that's what we need. Sometimes we just need that sense that we're not alone and that we are not experiencing these things alone. And sometimes it's just the confirmation for the other person as well to know that others are out there experiencing these very same things. So thank you. Appreciate you. Kent, you're up next, bud.
Yeah, good morning. Oh, it's morning here anyway. Good morning, Cayenne, folks. Yeah, just on my personal experience with the afterlife. Personal thought. I'm not religious per se, but I do completely believe there's something after life. My mother passed away a couple of years ago, and I wasn't able to go to her funeral for certain reasons, but I just hoped that I would get to see her somehow. I haven't yet, but I still believe there's something after. So, I think you have to have faith that this isn't all just a waste of time. There is something after this.
Absolutely. And I can agree with you on that as well. Next up, we have Tupa.
Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? Jackson, condolences. Everybody dealing with loss, condolences. It's not an easy thing to do. And yeah, thanks for sharing. I wanted to talk about the dream thing because it's widely reported that the dreams are one of the biggest effects of smoking weed, especially before sleep. And that's also reported in like the biggest side effect reported of quitting weed is intense dreaming. And I've smoked a lot of weed at night for maybe 20 years, quite a long time. And I got better at dreaming and I got better at remembering my dreams. And I've come to think that, and this is just my experience, that maybe we don't cease dreaming when we're stoned. We just don't retain the memory. Like it doesn't, it's not easy to remember because like, yeah, some of my best dreams have been on nights of after smoking or hanging out. And then like, I just wake up and it's still the same, same kind of impression, same intensity, but like, yeah, it took a while. If you're not paying attention to it, it just takes a while. But that's my experience, and I definitely, my kid's having a blast right now. But yeah, I don't know if it's that you don't dream or that you don't remember them. I'm still on the fence about it.
Is he a police officer or is he a fire engine? Which one? And I heard him whooping something's butt.
Police officer. He's running around the house and he's arresting his toys. So we run a tight ship around here.
I love that. Tupa, thank you for your insight. And you're absolutely right. It's very possible that we just don't remember when, in fact, we, do use cannabis and we think we're not dreaming. I think a lot of times we can even say without the use of cannabis that there's a lot of individuals who don't believe that they're dreaming. But there's evidence out there that just suggests that there's lots of dreams happening all at one time. And that's the reason why you can't remember them, not that you're not having them. So definitely relate to that as well. Next up is Galactic. Then we have Zork and JH.
How's it going? To remember
Hi
your
there.
dream, I guess to remember your dreams. If you have trouble remembering your dreams, you could always try binary beats. Binary beats from the Moreau Institute is a incredible studio institution to enhance your neural experience of dreams. But meditation is very crucial towards healing the human mind. I teach a lot of different forms of meditations, including energy meditations, building the chakras, and the bioelectric magnetism field. When you build the bioelectric magnetism field, you can experience more energy, more life, more you have more physical energy, but also mental energy. But yeah, it's to experience more of the higher hybrid mindset, I would say, comes through the conscious awareness of clarity. So once you find more clarity, and I know people do smoke cannabis and they need to relax the neurons from the tension, hyperintention that they have from the stress of the mind and the emotion mind. I tried CBD water recently, and some type of water that has it's like the molecules are like pressurized into it. It's pretty wild, pretty calming, almost like a beer in a way, but without the alcohol. But calming the mind and then working in that breath and tension to find clarity will help the mind to heal, and then you can experience more of your dream states. And putting the positivity into it as well, positive reinforcement that you say you can remember them, will work.
Thank you for that, Zork. And you're right. Intention is a very vast part of just recall, right? I think I've read that in some research before. So thank you again for that. Next up, we have JH.
You there, JH?
Yeah, sorry. Somebody was actually ahead of me. There was Galactic that was just talking, and then Zork, I think, was ahead of me.
Oh, I didn't hear Galactic speaking. I'm so sorry. Galactic, please take the floor.
I think Galactic already went. There's somebody after them, I think, guys, what they were saying, maybe.
Yeah.
There was Zork that was just speaking, and then JH.
No, I think Galactic was speaking. Yeah, Galactic was speaking. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah. So to talk on Tupa's point, I used to perform sleep studies while in school, and I'd just like to verify that everyone always dreams no matter what. It's just as he said, you either remember it or you don't. So just to hit that point, and I think one of the questions were, to retell one of your experiences. Was that one of them? What was that?
Yeah, you can go ahead and share, please.
Okay, cool. So I think I shared this once before, but one of my most close encounters. I've had several that you can probably see on my profile. But one of the closest ones I've seen with a being, I originally thought was a partial sleep paralysis, coming out of a dream type thing. Because as you sleep, you go down your stages. So from 3, 2, and then usually within that 2 and 1 stage, you can experience some sleep paralysis. But when you're in that sleep paralysis, you're also like partially awake, so you really aren't going to be hallucinating a ton, at least from my experience and knowledge. But in any case, I remember right before I had the experience, I was talking to someone here on Twitter, and I guess they've seen something I posted about an experience, and they went to my message box and told me some interesting things about some like super spiritualism and names, etc., and told me that I was going to have an experience that night. It was pretty weird. They wanted to call me, etc. I said no, like I'm fine. I don't really want to interact that deeply with folks. But literally, just as they said, like maybe like 3 or 4 hours later into the night, my door is rattling, and I see this orb type thing, which you can also like. It looks similar to what you can see on my profile, just like a wobbling ball of light that looks like plasma. In any case, it immediately like disappears. I'm like, okay, maybe I was dreaming, and then it immediately comes back. And if you see my profile, Tom DeLonge put this image online a while back, and I grabbed it because it was just like the creature that was like levitating and hovering in my room. Um, but she had like, well, I don't know if it was a female or not, but like flowing hair beneath the veil, and it was just like approaching me while levitating, feet not touching the ground, and speaking to me like telepathically, I assume. The entire time I'm trying to like wriggle out of my bed, my partner's like right to the next to me. Like she has no idea what's going on. It feels like I'm being electrocuted. It's like running, coursing from like my toes all the way up to like my skull, and it just like centers there. And the thing approaches me right over me and speaking in a like robotic, Siri-like tone. And the only thing it seemed like it said more than what I remember. But all I remember it saying was like peace, peace, peace. Let there be peace, right? It was very interesting. It shook me to my core. I've had some like PTSD from that moment on. So yeah, that's one of my experiences.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience, Zork. And, that is definitely a very, I wouldn't know what to do with that, me personally. I know I've heard stories of others speaking about sleep paralysis, and some have said that they've had positive experiences, and some have said that they've had very negative experiences. And I know my mother has been dealing with sleep paralysis since she was in her early 20s. And a lot of times it's been negative. But as far as the description that you gave and your ability to kind of like redraw what you saw, I think a lot of people can possibly relate to that. So thank you again for sharing your story. Just as a friendly reminder, we are doing something a little bit different. So if you check out my PFP real quick, I'm going to show you. If you have something to say to Zork or anyone else in the room that relates to the story that is at hand, please use that symbol. It gives us the ability to know that you want to say something that relates, as opposed to just having your hand up and not having something that relates, and you might have something of your own that you want to discuss. So I see screen. I'm going to go ahead screen real quick. I have not forgotten you, JH, and then I see Galactic as well. So here we go, screen.
I was just showing people the symbol.
All right, well, thank you for that. Galactic, go ahead.
Well, I teach a practice called astral projection meditation. It's done through the clarity consciousness of the mind, finding the place of no mind. So it's more for the advanced practitioners of meditation, knowing that they need to kind of get into the state of clarity, and clarity is hard for a lot of people to get into, but it does require a repetition of meditation. It could be X amount of hours or X amount of months with repetition. But when you experience astral projection, there's a lot of things that happen within the body and the mind, and this is not using any type of drug to enhance your subconscious or your neural mind, and enhancing the vibrations of the experience, or to pop into the out of body experience. Now I know people have done that, and it's all right. But what I'm trying to do with my scientific theories and discoveries, I want to know if it's the subconscious or conscious mind as we experience these dream states, and what we have used towards the harnessing the data perception of our daily life into our subconscious. And this is just the experience of subconscious data through energy of the dantian. The dantian, the navel chakra, is where we store the most amount of energy. So we condense, we compress energy into these experience, into the dantian. That's where we store emotions. But once we release the emotions of negative emotions, we still store energy there. And this energy is chi, life force, and magnetism. So the magnetism that we store, we can use that to heal others. So even a practice that I have called quantum remote healing, that I can physically heal people through a screen, their PTSD, chronic pain, manic depression. And I've been doing this for thousands of people so far. But quantum remote healing, I mean, I'd say astral projection meditation is an out of body experience that has energy and a lot of the spiritual or religious experiences of possibly after the body dies. But you're not dead because you're tethered to your own body. It's very interesting how it works. It's very scary for some. Some can be very negative towards it, and that's how it affects what they have experienced so far in their life to be tragic. So some of them can go into a head-on experience with no fear and no attachment to belief systems and really experience something profoundly amazing and travel to destinations and get real feedback. And that's what I have done.
Thank you, Galactic, again for sharing your experience and also giving us an opportunity to kind of know a little bit more about you, so that if anyone in the room wants to follow Galactic and is able to gain some insight as to their astral projections, or even just knowing how to do so safely, go ahead and hit his PFP and hit him up. Kent, I saw that you put up that wave, so go ahead, you're next.
Yeah, no, just on sleep paralysis. I mean, we know it's a natural function of the body when we go to sleep that the brain has the ability, as we shift into our subconscious, to paralyze the body so that we're not affected during the night with our dreams and stuff. And I'm sort of wondering if, because there's no clear block between the subconscious, it's more of a filter. And I'm wondering if as people become more aware, or if some people just have a differently wired brain, that sleep paralysis is a result of that filter between the subconscious and the conscious not being as effective during sleep as what it would normally be. And that's why you're affected by your conscious sort of being aware that you're asleep, but you're awake and you can't do anything about it. I think that sounds interesting to look into about sleep paralysis.
You're absolutely right about that. And I think we should be diving into it a little bit more to understand the connectivities there. JH, I know you were up next.
Yeah, hi everyone. I can speak to the the whole theme of life after death thing, and I had CPR before, and I was at the hospital when my heart stopped, and so anyway, they got me back, and I don't remember a whole of that yet, and that's okay. But my brother, on April 9th of a couple years ago now, he got hit by two vehicles, and he died. And he was laying on the side of the road waiting for the people to come, resuscitate him or whatever. And they got him back, and I think took 20 something minutes, I think they said, to get to him, because there was a cop had pulled somebody over a ways down, and they could see when that happened to my brother. There was video of it from the second car, not the first car. And so anyway, he was on his crutches and everything, so he was still healing, and this was May of the same year that he got hit, so that next month. And he's had surgeries and all this stuff, and he's not the same. And he was eating with my dad. They went to go eat at this all-you-can-eat restaurant, and they were walking up, and this really, really tall man holds the door open for them. He lifts up his arm and sets his arm up on top of the door, because that's how tall he is. And he holds the door for them, and they come in, and they sit them where they, there wasn't hardly anybody in the restaurant at all. I don't think there was anybody besides the people that work there and them. And they sat down, and they were looking at each other and stuff. And the guy was really looking at my brother, and my dad noticed this, and then he speaks up and he said, "You were there, weren't you?" Or something similar. You were there, weren't you? Something about being somewhere, being there. My brother looked at him for quite a while. My dad said, you know, in a conversation way, and his eyes turned bloodshot, and he looked at me and said, "Yeah, I was there." And the guy excitedly says, "I died on the 9th too." And we were like, wow, you know, because I wasn't there. My dad told me about this later, but I was like, wow. And so from that, I have a like from everything else too. Like I don't know, from everything else, like that there's reincarnations. People have studied that for decades. So one guy, like 15 years that I was looking into some of his stuff. That so maybe only 1.5 decades or something. But that Leslie Keene had put together the surviving death thing, and you know, I found that interesting. And then also I could speak to, like, after my grandma died, it was like I would get a sense of her, if that makes sense. Like, oh, she's in my house, like, you know, like, or like a um I don't know, like a feeling of her or something. It's like hard to explain, I guess. But one day I had that feeling and I was like, huh. And I happened to have a pen and piece of paper in my hand at the time. And I was like, you know, okay, just put my left hand, I put it in my left hand. And I was like, well, maybe I can't really write very well with my left hand, but I'll just see what happens. And in case, you know, it was like, I don't know, this feeling of somebody grabbing my hand and making my hand right. Like, if that's like, it's not an actual tactile feeling, but I don't know, it's like a sensation. I don't know how to explain it. And so, and it wrote, "I love you, Jamie," you know, and that would totally be something my grandmother would say. And it was not very long after she died. And I was like, interesting, you know, that's I don't know what that was. I know some people do automatic writing. I saw something about that the other day. I think that's what the psychic twins use, is like a that kind of writing where they just pull the information out of wherever, you know, they sense it somehow and they just write it down. And so like getting information from places that are, you know, away from you in time or space is possible. It's statistically verifiable. So, you know, I don't think that that any of that stuff that we're talking about here makes us crazy or anything. Like, we may have some anxiety or some whatever, insomnia or something from it, like symptoms of something. But yeah, I don't think that it's wrong that any of us are talking about this, and I'm really grateful to have some place to say stuff. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing your experience. And I think that a lot of people in this room could possibly relate to your stories that you told, myself included. And I would love for you to put the name of that gentleman that you spoke of into the chat box down below so that others might be able to benefit from some of that information.
Which
Pretty,
gentleman?
I think
Which
you said Mr. Keel or Keen.
Oh, Leslie Keene. Oh, she's, yes, I'll
Oh,
put that.
sorry, I apologize. I thought it was a male when you said the name.
Oh yeah.
My bad on that. But I'm pretty sure that if we were to actually be able to put hands up all over this room for listeners as well, that many of us probably have shared, if not the similarities or same stories, we probably could say that we've had multiple incidences of these types of events. So I really do appreciate you guys. And moving forward, I know Alien Light, you were up here and you had your hand raised and then you went down and came back. I'm pretty sure you have something to say as well with regards to this, having heard you before. Alien Light.
Hello.
You there,
Hi.
Light?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just keep going in and out my reception. Okay. Yes. You know, I apologize if I'm sound any indifferent in any way, but we really all have all the evidence. We have evidence. We're not just telling stories. We have evidence about everything, including our images. And we tell people space is not empty. You're immersed in this invisible guiding angel field. They are our guiding angels. But I just want to say we are giving away free now new cymatic sound ear cosmic earplugs. They're going to be free. I post them. They're blue, and you insert them into your ears, and you do your cosmic connection, your humming, your vibrational field. We advise how, if you want advice, how to experience the full experience with these earplugs. They're cymatic, they're hollow, so you will hear the cosmic connection. We recommend with sunlight, we do the tuning vibrations with sunlight, reflecting with sunlight, and water. We consume water, of course, magnetic water, which is another subject. But just on that, if anyone wants to experience that, we highly recommend it. It is the tuning, right? The tune that we will experience, but inner tune. There are many devices of cymatics that are on the market, but they send a sound into you, right? And this experience will be totally different because you will create the tune from within you, and the vibration will be tremendous from within you. You will actually feel it right to the top of every filial of your brain. When you do like a humming, like hum, or biblical humming, or spiritual humming, which is what we recommend. We have a spiritual humming of love to our guiding sun, a loving sun, morning sunrise. We do humming, and so of course, and this is something that I've experienced, and I want to just share it. And we are now giving away free. It's very inexpensive anyway. These earplugs are like $1, so it's really not nothing. But I'm willing to give them away free if anyone comes on my channel and is interested. If anyone
Well, thank you, Alien Light, for bringing that to our attention, and definitely go ahead and put it in the chat box below as well. Again, so it gives people the opportunity to be able to see what you're talking about as far as somatics.
Right. It is your cosmic connection, sound, vibration, frequency, electric magnetism, light, and that's who we are. We are alien light, the magnetic light connection, which is what it is. The connection of anything that anyone can ever experience is in the existence of the invisible spectrum of light. And we are trying to show the world how to make that invisible spectrum of the rainbow light visible. We create rainbows. We show water waves in the reflection of light, which is your synchronization of your DNA, your chakras, right? How light, the signal intensifies with the wave. The wave is all information. That's how information is intensified, right? And so there's so much to talk about, but I just appreciate your time. And if anyone wants to know more information, I'll be on, and I'll start my own space and be talking about this. But I appreciate your time. Thank you.
And we appreciate you, Alien Light. Again, thank you. Can be so kind to put that information down in the chat box. It'd be greatly appreciated. And before we get over to Kent and Andrew, who just came up in the room, Shane, how are you doing? And Alien Light, if you can just go ahead and mute your mic, that'd be great. Thank you so much, bud. But Shane, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Actually, I'm enjoying the conversation and watching your badass lead it. So I'm good. I'm having fun and listening to you guys talk. That's what I like to do in here. So you keep doing what you're doing. You're doing awesome, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So next up we have Ken.
Yeah, no, just a thought on that. I mean, for me, I think when we fully comprehend sound, and when we fully comprehend the versatility of vibration and sound in relation to light, I think then we're going to be able to start building pyramids.
You're going to have to expand on that, Bud. You can't just leave us hanging.
No, well, it's like when I look at Baalbek, it's my favorite one to look at, megalithic structure. I see 100 floor stone, and I see 50 of them. I don't see one, I see 50. So I know that it wasn't done by a bunch of slugs with trees and sticks and ropes. So I imagine that they're using some form of resonance, some form of harmonic resonance to make this stuff light. So I think if we can, that's why I can't exactly remember the quote, but there was someone saying the three forms of dimension. You've got light, you've got sound, and you've got energy all together. So once we sort of understand the combination of all of them together, but for me, I think we understand sound the least. I think that's when we're going to be able to find the harmonic resonances of different materials to be able to be much more versatile with how we move them around or cut them or shape them or whatever.
Correct. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I think it's interesting to even identify the fact that sound or hearing is the last thing that goes when you're dying. And that's just from personal experience. Andrew, your hand is up.
Yeah, I don't really have my thoughts organized right now, but I did want to thank you all for having this space because they really do mean a lot. I have just been listening from the beginning and hearing these wonderful stories shared, not all of which, as you know, are going to be easy for people to share. And I think that says a lot about people's courage and it says a lot about what people are willing to do because probably some of the things that have been shared just in the last hour or so, my guess is that some of those either have never been or they have never been shared as recently in sort of a in a way that kind of draws it all together. And that's why sometimes these are the kind of things that make it into therapy or they might make it into a marriage relationship or a one-on-one. But when you have this many people present who also have those experiences and who have been through a lot of the same, you really draw a lot of threads together. And I just wanted to say it means the world to me because I think a lot of us, we have those as ongoing. And Shane, I wanted to speak to that because, like, the way you started out the space just really, it rings a lot of bells for me, which I won't pretend I can explain. But I do know that I learn more every time I listen. And, sometimes that's the best way that you can find out where you have to chime in or where you need I'm just going to say it, where you feel like you need the healing because, you know, it's like if you don't quite know what part of your own psyche is struggling, or if you don't know what it is to ask for, sometimes it just may be that you don't know. So, out of everything people have shared recently, the only thing I was going to say that I can't quite relate to, only because probably I have yet to record it, is missing time, and I'm not going to suggest that that's not there because I think it is. But when it comes to the experiences, mine feel like they're ongoing. Um, I don't want to dwell on it, but I will say that when I say things like PTSD, I know that sometimes people have PTSD diagnoses for other reasons. Like you can say things. We used to call it shell shock, and my mother said that there was a time when I think there was actually a time in between the diagnosis of shell shock and what we call PTSD that they gave it. It was like I don't know if it had stress in it or some chronic fatigue syndrome. There was some other term, but I know that for some of my relatives, they did have other terminologies for this. And other people would say, well, you can't have that. You never actually saw combat. And I'm not sure that that's true. I think that a lot of people have been through violent encounters that will cause those. And then some would say, well, how could you experience that? You were never in the military. Well, maybe it's past life trauma. I don't know what to tell you. But I think that when we put it all together, we just have a lot of different issues that we go through. And most of us here are going to be experiencers of one sort or another. So we have a lot of overlap. And sometimes, it's not even from 2 years ago. It's from 2 nights ago, or it's from I still don't have all the answers. So we may not have them, but I just wanted to thank people again for being willing to share and also being willing to listen, because sometimes that's where you're going to hear that place that you probably do need work or you do need help. It's just you're not quite sure how to go about getting it. And this is to me the best resource I have ever found for how to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for your kind words, and also for the fact that you can relate, because there's a lot of us in this room right now, and that just speaks volumes, in my opinion. I feel like, again, like I said earlier, after talking with JH, there's a lot of us in this room, so it leads me to believe that there's a lot of experiencers in this room. No matter what your experience, you're here, and you're breaking bread with us now, and you're speaking with us now about some very personal details. And that maybe you didn't find that comfort in being able to speak to someone outside of here, but here you are, and here we are, and we're listening. So, Shane, I'm going to take it over to you.
What's up, guys? Hey, my name's Shane. I'm your host. Welcome, and I'm glad you guys are here. You can share this whole thing. I just wanted to kind of make a little blurb here. This is going to be some deep stuff, and this isn't about me. So take care of your mental health. There's a meditation space you can always go to. I don't mind. Come back to listen if you need to. No big deal. This is simply about sharing these experiences. Sometimes it's a little much. Sometimes it's not. And I'm grateful to actually hear them because it makes me feel normal, like a group. And I'm grateful for the people who brought me so much the support. I'm grateful for my veterans, brothers and sisters. I'm also very grateful for my co-hosts and my friends and people who brought me this far. Kai, Chase, you guys are amazing. You're doing so awesome. I want to say something else, man. Screen, everybody in that thread that's being active, dude, some people work behind the scenes, and I noticed that. And you'll see me come in and say, hi, welcome. This is stuff I like. That's all we can do. Just hope we get resources out. We talk, and it helps us help other people. So I'm very appreciative of you guys to be here. It's been almost 2 hours. I want this space to be easy to go back to so people can listen to it. So thank you for being here. We're going to close it out. Someone else will probably open a space. And before we do, Mike has something he's going to say, and I'm sure it's awesome.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say we're raising money for Shane so he can get a camera that he needs. So if anybody's interested, you can click on the cash thing on his profile, or send me a DM and I'll send you his email for like Zelle if you have Zelle. But let's make some shit happen here. Shane's a really good dude, super positive, really good friend. And I think he deserves this, and I think it'll help him help other people. So that's the main thing. It's not
Shane,
he's not doing this for him.
send me your details, mate.
He's doing it for other people. So I think that's important. I just wanted to point that out. So
thank you, guys. Thank you, Mike. Kent, if you go to my Twitter profile, there's a little cash symbol. I just found out about it. I turned it on, and there's stuff you can send it in there if you guys don't know about it, right? And this is simply for the camera, so I could do exactly what he said. Keep this message going and literally start recording. Like when I go down to the UFO Congress, it's all going to be recorded. When I go to treatment, do all these things for PTSD, I'm going to just record it, put it out there. It's going to be on our channel. It's going to be about promoting all of what we discussed tonight. So if you can, great. If not, don't worry about it. Being here is enough for me, man. So I appreciate it, guys.
Just a last quick question, Shane. Is there a goal? Do you know how much you need to raise?
$2 million, Kent. You got a 1.8 million? I got the rest.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll chat later.
No,
He's like, okay, deuces.
Yeah, I'm looking at a specific camera right now. One that I can kind of do both. So, for example, it's the Nikon P1000 also is a full spectrum, and it's a great for the stuff I see to record, and I can have the ability to use it for my studio. So, because I have an adapter. So that's what I'm looking at now. It's about $800, $900. It just depends on what it comes with, right? But then again, I can also throw my own money if I have to. It's just about getting close enough because I've got to travel to Boston for Wounded Warrior Friday, and then when I get back, going down to New Mexico, Phoenix. I'm about to do it again. I'm going down to Phoenix, so it's just I'm spending money on some of the other stuff. So yeah, I appreciate it, but if not, don't you sweat it. It's not about that for me.
And real quick, if we can just pay some attention to Chase real quick, because he's been the other co-host that has been absolutely phenomenal here. And I know you haven't spoken a lot, but I'd love to hear anything that you have to say, Chase.
Yeah, really, I just want to say let's get Shane a nice camera because he's filming some wild stuff, and like I say go full spectrum, but that's just me. But thank you, Kai. Kai, you're wonderful. Always love having you around. And thank you anyone who donates to Shane too. Like, hats off to you. We're gonna make some cool stuff for you, hopefully. And yeah, thank you guys for coming out.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to close it out. Hugs and kisses. I'll miss you guys. I'll be seeing you tomorrow whenever we see you in the next space. So love, guys. Thank you for being here. Retweet this. Let's get this out there. I relabeled it so people can kind of see what we're talking about.
Shane, could I just sorry, folks, could I just quickly mention though, Shane, your cash thing doesn't deal with international. So send me some details, buddy, so I can help out.
Okay. Well,
yeah, we'll get you the links, Kent. I got you. Thank you, Kent.
All right, hugs and kisses,
Hey,
family.
no drama, guys. Great
Bye,
night.
guys. Bye, guys.
Bye, Chris. Bye, everybody. Ocean, everybody. Love you guys. Every one of you for being here.
Some intelligent life somewhere making a decision that life needs to exist on this planet. We need to be open to all of that. We really do. I think we need to cast a very wide net. And this is why I always say all options have to be on the table until they're not on the table, because you might be surprised. Something that's super, super intelligent probably isn't going to build a pyramid that's only going to last, 20,000 years. They're going to do something that's far more enduring.
There's another peer-reviewed paper called The Wow Signal in the Genetic Code by a couple of mathematicians from, I think, Uzbekistan. And I don't pretend to understand the math, and I'm sure there's some statisticians that would argue with it, but their concept was interesting. The actual, what we call the genetic code, the transfer RNAs that basically say, a proline goes here, a leucine goes there, that allow for the proteins to be made. They are so well organized in terms of the structure of who codes for what, that it looks like it was designed, right? And then they go through some mathematical models of why it had to have been designed. And there's some caveats that I'll mention at the end here. That the chance of it not having been designed is like 1 in several hundred trillion.
Right.
Right. And what they're saying is the wow message. So you've heard of this thing called the wow message, that when somebody first thought that they heard a radio signal from another civilization, they said, wow, they wrote wow on it, and that became the wow signal. So they said, look, the signal is actually in our DNA. The fact that that DNA was planned and organized is right there in front of us. That's the wow signal.
But would last long enough for us to go back and say, wow, this is an indicator of alien life on this planet 100,000 years ago. What would you have to do to achieve that, to accomplish that? It's a lot harder than one might think. And then again, would you recognize it? One might say, well, DNA is a perfect example. If you wanted to do something that was enduring for humanity, that we could look back 100,000 years ago and say, yes, that was absolutely manipulated by an intelligent life form. Well, deoxyribonucleic acid may be one way to do it. You can put coding and sequencing in there that will perpetuate over time, and yes, you'll have some degradation over generations. But in essence, you could do something that way. And basically, it's a biological marker, right? So we have to be careful when we say we look for evidence, because evidence isn't just necessarily a spearhead found in the Bighorn Mountains from 11,000 years ago. It's not necessarily a pyramid sitting in the middle of a desert. It could be far more sophisticated than that. You said put it in orbit, right? Well, what if we put that, rather than in orbit, we put it into the human body?